Hello and welcome back to the 410 show. As promised, brick by brick by brick, the biggest brick in the building here. I told y'all I was going to get him down here if it isn't none other than the great Coach Clatchey himself. Coach, thank you for showing up.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on.
Most definitely an honor to have you in the building, man. And before we get started, y'all, I have to run down Coach Clatchey's accomplishments because I've been sitting here talking junk about him the last couple of weeks, about him being the best coach in Baltimore basketball high school history. So this is why I feel like that. Coach, you mind if I run this down to him? All right, so he began coaching the Gales in 92, okay? That's one part. He has now 881 wins currently as we speak. Right now, we're going for 900. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. He ranks third all-time in high school basketball coaching wins in the state of Maryland. I'm trying to figure out who the number 2 man is. Do you know the number 2 man?
I do. It's Butch Waller. He coaches on the Eastern Shore, and he's coached for over 60 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just retired.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's why he slid past me because I couldn't figure that out. I knew who the number 1 man was, but Butch Waller, I'm going to look into that, Coach. Thank you. He's won over 30 combined Baltimore Catholic League and MIAA conference titles. Okay, he's developed close to 70 NCAA Division I players. That is a huge feat for any high school coach to say they have 70 D1 players come out of the program. He coached some notable NBA players. Jalen Smith is one of them. If you don't see, Jalen Smith right here behind us on the map. Definitely was coaching him. Named the Coach of the Decade by Varsity Sports Network. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay, I figured you did. He was selected to coach the prestigious McDonald's All-American game in 2009. I didn't know that.
It's a fun experience.
Yeah, I'm sure. So with those accomplishments and many more that we probably can talk about, I definitely feel like we have a strong case for that. Like I said, that guy's on the Eastern Shore. The other guy was out there at the Mather. So that once again leaves Baltimore as the place that we're talking about. And so the best coach in Baltimore basketball history is sitting right here in the 410 Show studio. So Coach, I want them to know a little bit about that stuff before we get started. First, I got to ask you, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you having me on. Adrian, former player at MSJ, transferred in. Also had a nice little transformation from his junior year to his senior year. And also in the building is Kevin Mickens, who was a very good player at Mount St. Joe and had a long pro career overseas. And I haven't seen Kevin in a while, so it was good to see him.
Yeah, I had a surprise coach. I had a couple of little surprises set up for him, but he's a busy man, so he had to slide in here when he could. Thank you, Kevin, for showing up, man. It means a lot. I know Coach really appreciated you showing up as well. Coach, tell the people where you started out, man. We was little Pat Clatchey at running around.
Grew up in Southwest Baltimore, about 8 houses up from the Southwest Police Station.
Okay.
And behind the police station was a park. They had a recreation center, indoor activities, but they had baseball fields. But more importantly, they had a full court with lights.
Okay.
And I started off playing baseball. Was a pretty good baseball player, but it just kind of got a little bit mundane for me, and just the whole vibe over there on the basketball court was different. It was highly competitive. I started playing, got a little bit better, got to the point where I could actually play and compete.
Okay.
And was fortunate to learn a lot by that experience of playing on that court, and then started going up to Bentlow Rec for some summer ball. Like Gwynns Falls, the talent down there, a typical game would be, 5-on-5 with about 35 to 40 people waiting to play.
Okay, so that many people on standby. So if you lost, you probably wouldn't get back out there.
Yeah, if you lost, you're looking at a 2-hour wait, or your day's over. So you learn how to compete, you learn how to win. I also think that was part of my training for coaching down the road, where I kind of looked at like what kind of teams win and what kind of players don't win. And then the other part was I was exposed to a high level of talent. I saw what great players looked like: Quentin Daly, Rudy Archer, Kenny Bannister, Al Leslie, Andre Nicholson, David Dunston, Mo Dunston, guys from Bentlow, and it was like, yeah, that's what high talent looks like.
There's a laundry list of names, Coach. I was around some of the legends this weekend. I know we were talking off camera about that. Mr. Leslie was definitely, shout out to Mr. Leslie again. He was out there with us. So, Baltimore was a hotbed back then for talent. And
Still is.
Yeah, absolutely. And most certainly you got to see some of the greatest talents in the city back then. So tell me a little bit of high school. Were you playing ball in high school at all?
I played a couple years. I just kind of knew that basketball had to be part of what I did in the future.
Sure.
And I really got into coaching probably at an early age. I started coaching the freshman team at Mount St. Joe at age 19.
I don't mean to cut you off. Quick question for you. While you were playing, because when I played, I coached a little bit in youth sports as well. When you played, were you kind of like coaching while you were playing, sort of thinking it like a coach?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, especially when I didn't feel like sitting out for 2 hours, and those games really it came down to just straight grit, toughness, being able to win the arguments.
Right.
And when we used to play to 16, and when somebody got to 15, that last shot was either somebody pulling up from half court or a circus shot, because we weren't shooting no free throws, and dudes would crack you hard.
Yeah, Baltimore brand of basketball is rough, so yeah, that's for sure.
A lot of young players, they don't understand that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So, all right, we now you for sure you got this passion for coaching under your belt. You're at St. Joe, you're coaching the freshman team. Do you think about leaving St. Joe at all at any point in time?
So during the summers, I had a great opportunity. I worked at 5-Star for probably about 14 or 15 summers, and once again exposed to some of the best high school players in the country, but more importantly exposed to some outstanding college and high school coaches.
Okay.
And, learned a lot.
Give me an example give me one player that you saw at 5-Star. Give me one coach that was down there that was notable at the time.
It was Rick Pitino, Mike Krzyzewski, Hubie Brown. All the big names were there.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of great players there. And I tell you, probably the most talented player and the best player I ever saw there was Lloyd Daniels.
Lloyd Daniels?
That dude was an incredible player. 6'8", 6'9", kind of like an athletic version of Magic Johnson, inside outside type game, passed like Magic Johnson. He was extremely talented.
Okay, and then there's not a lot of people that have a lot of footage on those games and stuff like that. So hearing those stories,
no social media, but
right. People recanting all that stuff definitely is something that I want to bring about here, because we're not going to have that information forever. So I know briefly you did do a stint at UMBC.
Yeah, I was there for 3 years as a Division I assistant. Really good experience. I was not a full-time assistant. I was like a part-time assistant, but I was exposed to a lot of basketball. Like one year we played Kansas when they were ranked #1 in the country. That was not a fun night, but just to see that level play. Roy Williams was the coach.
Sure. Did you play in Lawrence?
Yeah, we did.
Oh wow, yeah.
They're not coming to you.
Yeah, I was just making sure.
It was a great experience, and all along I was just taking notes, trying to learn more. Even now, I still do it all the time. There's so much resources now, coaching. Reading books, but now with the internet, there's just so many drills and how to defend things, different actions and offensive actions. And if you want to be a coach, you have to decipher like what your style is, but you have an opportunity to learn every day.
So speaking of styles, what do you think the style was back then compared to now? Like, is the style changed at all, or is it still similar?
I would say some things have changed, but I would say some have stayed the same. But I think you have to basically be a really good man-to-man team.
Okay.
I learned a long time ago that if you can defend in the half court and execute in the half court, you're going to win, a good amount of games. I think the big thing that's never really changed is, and you can pick any sport, not beating yourself.
Okay.
Like
making the stupid errors
mistakes,
and
not
stuff
being
like
prepared, turnovers, bad shots, guys not getting back. all those things are correctable, but you also have to hold people accountable for those things.
Sure. I know you held me accountable for those things, that's for sure.
You needed
it. And I appreciate it every day of it there. So we now at St. Joe, we're getting started with the journey at St. Joe. Tell me about, do you remember the first year at St. Joe varsity? You remember how that went?
I do. I mean, it's it's becoming a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a blur, but it kind of just all runs together.
Yes,
but,
sir.
I know my first year, I think I took over a team the previous year that only won like 7 or 8 games.
Okay.
I think my first year there we won like 17 or 18 games.
Okay.
We had some good wins, and I wouldn't say it was the most talented team we had either. It was just, it's like we're gonna win. We're gonna find ways to win, and there was a point where like once we started winning, I would say like my 11th year I was very frustrated because we had never won a championship.
Okay.
You're working hard recruiting, you're working hard coaching, but you want that ultimate prize. And
right.
Mount St. Joe had never won Baltimore Catholic League championship. They were the only school in the league, and I really had a high level of frustration. I felt like, man, what am I going to keep winning 20 games every year? And then I think it was in 2003 we won 2 championships.
Okay.
And
finally got over the hump.
And then we won 2 more the next year, and Will Thomas graduated, and we had a really good nucleus of guys. Brian Johnson was on the team, DeJuan Goodwin, Chase Adams, Dino Gregory, guys like that were coming up, and then Louis Birdsong transferred in.
Okay.
So we actually won 4 years in a row.
4 straight? Okay.
So, somebody told me once, if you win it 4 years in a row, that's a dynasty.
Yeah, it's definitely a dynasty.
And then once that happened, I think we kind of arrived, and people really started to pay attention to what we were doing. And the year in 2006, we were 38-0, and unfortunately lost the last game.
Who did y'all lose today?
You have to ask me that. DeMatha.
Okay.
In the finals at Alhambra.
We just can't get over the DeMatha.
I've beaten them a couple times.
So, and I was actually part of, on the team in one of the championship games that you did lose, unfortunately, with the 98 team. LaFontae Johnson went absolutely berserk in that game.
That's not a good memory.
It wasn't a good memory for me either, Coach. I had to sit there and watch it, right?
Yeah, somebody, Joe Connolly, who's a coach from Baltimore, now works in the NBA and coached at Towson Catholic. He's with the Timberwolves now. And I think he was coaching back then, and he asked me if I could get any footage on that game. I was like, that's a bad memory, man. But yeah, he hit like 10 threes. And
Coach, can I say this? Just we never really formally talked about this, but this is the best time to talk about it. You had a remedy for that day. It was number 10 on your team.
Okay.
You just didn't invoke it. That's it. But you had a remedy for that. And Tay, I went to the cookout. I told all of them you ran down the dumbbell, but I got the scoop. You didn't run, but you knew what it was going to be next year when I was lining up with you across that court. You already knew. I would have 100% tell you wouldn't drop half of that if I was on the court that day.
If that's the case, we would win the championship a little bit earlier.
But no, Coach said it was definitely one of those stinging memories. And I know my senior year, I got in the mix with you, and that's when I started understanding some of your coaching and things like that. Not that I didn't understand it before, but it made much more sense to me, and it felt like, okay, the stuff that he was doing or the stuff that he was saying, it was all designed to get me to this point where I could start focusing and really playing. And I appreciate that. And I shared with you a couple of the handwritten notes. Coach writes handwritten notes for his players, y'all. This is no AI or anything. He's sitting there with the pencil or the pen. It's probably gonna be purple, because you know how we get down. We say Joe with the purple, and he's literally taking his time out for his players. And I
still do that, but I also text now.
he done caught up with the time. We got phones to text. All right, so here we are. We on this extremely magnificent run in St. Joe. 500-600 wins, 700. They're building up, right? Here we are. We're at 881. Going into, which season is this for you now?
I'll be 35.
35 seasons at the same location here in Baltimore. Y'all, I want y'all to tell me when you think this is going to happen again in the Baltimore Catholic League, because my bet is it's never going to happen again. But anywho, at 881, is there any pressure to continue the success that you've already had, or?
Well, I would say the pressure is self-induced. You know, I'm not stupid. I know what happens to coaches that don't win.
Facts.
They get fired, and you know, I think we've withstood the test of time. I've adapted and adjusted to the game, and you know, just to be a continuous learner. And I think, you know, player-coach relationship is important. You know, I've always tried to treat people the right way. I try to be professional. This day and age, it's a lot different because kids transfer out at the drop of a hat.
Right.
And I mean, a drop of a hat. I don't get it. I think it's a trickle-down effect from the college game, but it's just too much jumping around.
Understood. And speaking about that, that's one of the subjects we've been talking about here on the show, is the NIL and the different way that that's affected the game. And basically everybody I'm talking to is saying the same thing, that that's literally watering the game down now. Do you feel like that? Or?
Well, if you look back in college athletics, the two biggest things that they try to keep out of the college games was paying the players and agents. And now both of them are front and center.
And so it definitely makes it cloudy, right?
Players have agents. You know, agents, I mean, their job is to make money for themselves. So I think players have to be smart who they link up with and who they associate with themselves with. I've always felt like the players should get some type of compensation, but like what some of them are getting now it's crazy. And once you start paying people money, yeah, you're not taking it back.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I think
that's a good point.
it might be some type of modifications, but I think it's here to stay.
It's definitely, I know it's here to stay. It's not going to go back to what it was before. That's 100%. So I gotta talk about this, because maybe 2 weeks ago, I had a gentleman in here from a school that you're familiar with, Mount Carmel High School. Mm-hmm. And I asked him several times, I said, hey man, you know, how do you see your season going? He says that they for sure gonna win this championship this year. Now, I'm not gonna sit up here and try to nail you down to the table here, but do you think that you have a chance this year to win the championship?
I think we always have a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you are losing the player of the year from last year.
Great career.
Do you have anybody to fill that role, or is it going to be a collective thing?
No, we have a talented team.
Okay.
You know, we'd like to add, you know, like I mean, today's game, adding a transfer, which we've been very good at. I looked this up the other day. We have Amani Hansberry for 2 years, tremendous player. Jordan Brathwaite and Saxton Simley. So we had those 3 players for 4 years. We won 143 games.
143 games in 4 years.
So when you can add the right piece to what you currently have, I think that's really important these days. And we don't try to bring in 2 or 3 transfers, but when you do have guys leave, you do need to, you know, fill some spots.
Fill those shoes. Yeah.
And those guys were, I mean, Amani was BCL Player of the Year twice, BCL MVP, Metro Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year, and Jordan Brathwaite was Player of the Year, and Saxton was an all-league player. All 3 played Division I basketball.
Yeah, you can't ask for a better trio than that.
No.
That's for sure. I'm thinking that, you know, I've got to be at the game this year. Kevin, you going to be at the game this year when he gets to this 900? Because it's coming. I smell it. I know it's coming. And Coach, I want to be literally a part of it. So we're going to be talking about this all year. We're going to follow the team all year. Hopefully I can get a couple of the guys in here before the season starts. Sure. And now, quick question, because I'm going to have the guys in the mix here. What do they need to work on to make sure that they're prepared for this year? You think this team that you have right now?
I mean, we have a really talented team. We have really good guards. We have an experienced center. It's still kind of a young team, although the guards were both all league players.
Okay.
And, you know, from what I've seen, you know, I give a player evaluation at the end of the season, and you know, I think some of them really kind of took it to heart, and you know, I've seen progress in their games.
Have you been a little harder on the newer generation than you were on the older generation, or
it's
still
all, it's
the same?
It's all the same to me. Although I do think kids today, they tend to get in their feelings a little bit more than kids in the past, because you know, it's still the end result. You know, I want them to be the best players they can be, and hopefully they respect my knowledge and experience towards the game, and they have to understand that, you know, I'm for them and not against them.
Absolutely. I had to figure that out myself, because
Yeah.
you know, it was times where I was like, does this guy even want me to play on the team, or what's going on? But then, like I said, I had to sit down and really understand what you were trying to do. And then it's something that later on in life I understood. You almost had to break me down to build me back up. You know, and that's kind of what you got to do sometimes. So.
Sometimes that's part of the process.
Absolutely, Coach. You see, I'm learning, man. I got a little older. I'm starting to learn, man. These gray hairs ain't up here for no reason. But, Coach, I know you're a busy man. I appreciate your time for sure. You know, y'all going to see a lot more Coach Clatchey this year, because I'm going to be at the games, checking them out. Obviously, you want to check them out. Go down to St. Joe, check the boys out. They're going to be really competitive this year. I'm probably going to go ahead and say they're going to win the championship. I know Junior said that Mount Carmel got it, but, you know, I'm feeling like St. Joe is going to take it this year. We're going to learn from our mistakes last year, and we definitely going to take it home this year. So, Coach.
We had a good season last year. We won 31 games. That's always a good season.
It's always a good, but we got to get the end end result done. You know that. And
There's
so
nothing like winning championships.
absolutely. So, Coach, anytime you want, anytime, you're always free to come through. You already know that, man. It's nothing but love here for me, the 410 Show. To everybody that tuned in, you're looking at a Baltimore great here, Coach Pat Clatchey. Once again, he's on the tour for his 900th win this year. So pay attention to that. It's happening, y'all. You know why it's happening? Because the 410 Show said it's going to happen. Please, all of y'all stay safe. Thank you for your time. Check you out soon.
Appreciate you, man.